Hi everyone, I'm Asha, an Akashic Records reader, blogger, and podcaster. In this series, we will demystify the Akashic Records by bringing to you bite-sized contents on frequently asked questions relating to the Akashic Records. We will also explore topics relating to spirituality, as well as practical application, learnings, and reflections in the Akashic Records. My Akashic Masters are very excited to join us in this journey. We send much love, light, and blessings to all. Welcome to episode 78 of Case Study 22 of an Akashic Light Reading and Healing Session 2 with Mr. A. On Mr. A's first query, he asked, on his inferiority complex that bothered him since childhood days and worsened as he lived and worked in a foreign country, what should he do about this? Should he seek professional help or something? Before we get into the questions, they want to explain why you experience what you are feeling. In childhood times, there was this fear of getting into confrontations because it stems from the fear of being different from others. Instinctively, you know, from young, you tend to be a bit or rather different from your peers, family, and loved ones. And you tend to not want to stick out like a sore thumb. Deep within you, you value these community values of gathering together, harmony, love, and mutual respect. So you do not want to get into any confrontation or conflict. Your way of coping is avoidance, where you try to avoid the whole situation altogether, thinking that by doing so, you will minimize the conflict. Then moving on to your early childhood, when you started to feel that you can speak up more. It is like the exigencies of work nature and environment. The nature of your industry requires you to possess such skill sets. Otherwise, you cannot outperform your peers, and you may have trouble surviving in your very competitive industry. So that was your coping mechanism. Even though your root issue was still there, but then you had to survive. And then moving to Singapore, the cautious nature kicks back because you don't feel as steady an environment here. So you tend to be overly cautious in order not to land into trouble with any authority, even your peers in the workplace, to try not to get into confrontations. So in the sense, your coping mechanism kicks back into that avoidance mode that you took up since childhood. In terms of what you need to do, they suggest that you trace back to your childhood, and also to get into journaling practice on your childhood days, recounting your childhood experiences, particularly those episodes etched in your mind that makes you feel that you need to avoid, that avoidance nature comes in. Sometimes when we think of childhood, we think of when all this started. Certain memories started floating up. That's when we need to write down. The purpose of writing down is to release those emotions and baggage that were still etched in the past. Because your current coping mechanism is rooted in your past behavior. To find some release or breathing space in the present, to feel that it is safe to speak up, you need to release those fears in the past that makes you feel that it is unsafe to speak up, that it is safer to avoid altogether. Because the current dynamics have already changed. You are a much more mature, independent, capable individual in your own sovereign right to express yourself. And you can freely do so without landing yourself into trouble. The time and age have been vastly different. Yet a part of us is still locked in the past. Therefore, they suggest for you to journal down those childhood situations, recounting those situations where it makes you feel that you need to avoid. It is unsafe to speak up. Allow yourself to express your feelings on paper back then, writing down your original, authentic feelings. Sometimes we may not have that kind of closure that our logical mind thinks it would. We think that by writing down, I must have a solution that I should have done this and that. But the masters said the whole idea is just to vent out the emotions, so it doesn't get lodged there, to give yourself some space. That now you have written it down as it is. There's no need to judge ourselves harshly. This was what happened. I felt all these things that I felt. So just writing it down and reading. And then taking an observer perspective. It is almost as if you are looking at your own child. After you have written it down, to read it like an observer. If this is your son or daughter, how you would patiently look through the situation and understand the wisdom from it. So the first solution is journaling of the childhood experiences, and following from that observer perspective, to re-look at this whole situation. There's no need to draw any conclusions from it. Even if there's no conclusion, sometimes the process of writing is already a lot of release. It is human nature for us to bottle up a lot of things. When we bottle up for many years, it accumulates. It becomes a very big force field of fear of change, avoidance, and all the non-conflict situations. So what we are trying to do is to open up all these and allow whatever is ready to be released to be released. Whatever is not ready to be released, it is fine. It is still safe to remain within us. We respect and honor all parts of ourselves as they are. And then when they are ready, they will slowly find more acceptance. In terms of the current dynamics, any other opinions they may have on what you should do. After you have reconciled these experiences, at a certain stage, you can also try to speak up firmly and nicely. There can be this intricate balance where it is possible to speak up for the benefit of yourself and others in the organization. So it is not at all times that the avoidance style is the best way. But we tend to adopt that because of all this baggage within us, stemming from our childhood experiences or even past lives. We feel very scared of expressing ourselves for fear of things gone wrong, because probably in certain past lives, things have indeed gone wrong. But things are now vastly different. In this modern age and time, We have that space, time, and freedom to express ourselves and to speak up differently, to choose a different stance this time. They remind you that you are in a very privileged position compared to other peers in your industry. There is room or opportunity for you to be more vocal. For example, some people might need to suppress more than others because they feel there's no choice, they're quite stuck, or their jobs are very vulnerable or at stake. But your situation is a bit different. It is more of your mindset that needs a refresh. They're saying it's like computing system and upgrade. Your mindset just needs an upgrade, but the reality supports you. So you can slowly realize that work environment accepts you in your new nature. It is not like you are different. It is just an upgraded version of yourself with more wisdom, confidence, and clarity. It is essentially you, that vocal, speak out firmly yet nicely. Nicely in the sense of compassionately taking care of other people's feelings, but also putting your foot down. For example, in terms of overwork, sometimes very demanding schedules and timelines, you have to put your foot down firmly but compassionately communicating across. So that is all possible. Mr. A asked, should he seek professional opinion? They said yes and no. In terms of yes, if you feel that is very aggravating for you, almost suffocating, you cannot handle the situation, then you might find value in seeking a professional counselor to unlock all these issues with you. But no, if you feel that at this stage, it is still manageable and you can handle it independently. But what this process presents is an opportunity for your self-realization. It is like an upgraded version waiting for you. So you just have to clinch the opportunity that this situation presents for you that makes you uncomfortable, to try to resolve or reconcile the past issues, and then become an upgraded version of yourself. From time to time, all these bad things will surface because you are on the spiritual journey. You're committed to this journey and they understand and acknowledge that. Therefore, they will present to you obstacles and challenges at every stage when they feel that your soul is ready so that you can overcome. Take things slowly. Try not to rush through this healing process. Sometimes the value comes from patience as well. Patience in taking the time to nurture, understand, and observe the self. Humans are bound by this limited time. So we get very urgent and impatient. We cannot wait. However, there's value in slowing down. It is not to forego all the healing altogether, but to slow down and take the time to feel the emotions you're feeling, the inferiority complex. Because sometimes it reminds us of the past shadow that we don't want to see ourselves. We feel like we shouldn't be this, and we want to get rid of it as soon as possible. But there's value in observing it like your child. They say, treat your wounds like your child, like your son or your daughter. How you treat them with so much love, respect, and compassion. Do it the same for your own inner child. On the second query, Mr. A asked, on his feeling that he can have limitless abundance with many possibilities, what is the first step he should do? Should he do business, trading, take a class, or something? What should he be doing for wealth creation? Currently, you're fine as you are. But it is more of the expectations that we took on from others on what constitutes wealth. In terms of your source of income, you're comparable or even slightly higher than your peers. But it is because you didn't materialize it the way that others or society desire that form this impression on you. Like to be successful in life, we should be owning a property under our name, a car, etc. But in terms of monetary resources, the income that you have is comparable or even slightly higher than your peers. So you're not in a bad position. In terms of first steps that you can take, they suggest that you can try to grow your side income more in terms of your stocks and investments to see if there's room to pursue it further. You can consider further studies as needed to increase your technical competency and capabilities in that area so that you don't feel that you're blinded when you go into this new area. The fear of unknown makes it very uncertain for us. We fear that we may lose a lot of money because it is all the fear of the unknown, the uncertainties. But if you can enhance your technical competency, understand what's going on in that particular investment market that you're looking at, then it reduces the fear. So you know where you're going, be it short-term or long-term investments. Even if the market fluctuates up and down, you will feel steadier, and it can also be a passive income stream for you. Right now, you're not locked up in cash compared to other people. So there are pros and cons. When you're not locked up in cash, you tend to be more fluid and flexible. For example, if you want to relocate to another country with a better offer, you're free to do so anytime. You're not bound by this mortgage loan or this car with ongoing installments. You're cash fluid. You can move anytime. In terms of side income, even say dabbling more into stocks and investments, it is the same concept of being fluid and flexible with your cash. In your situation, the best is to be fluid and flexible in your cash so that you're not bound by all these material commitments, which may make you feel stuck in future. That means you can reposition, relocate, and move yourself anytime a better offer comes. There are always all these limitless possibilities that will come. And because of your technical competency, you may sometimes receive attractive offers to relocate. So that requires you to have some level of fluidity and flexibility. So your current situation is working in your highest good. Try not to compare ourselves with our peers, because while they have the good, they also have the bad. The reality is they are tied down by a lot of baggage: mortgage loan, repayment, installments. The hefty payments are highly unaffordable and strenuous for them. All things are working in your favor right now, even if things don't portray themselves as such. It is like veils over our eyes that we choose to see ourselves and others in a certain way, which may not represent the highest or ultimate truth. So just be mindful of them. Nothing wrong with your question, as abundance is rightfully our birthright. We are born with abundance. It should come to us naturally. So when we feel that things are stagnant, that we don't seem to get the abundance we have, then that is something to look into. And in this case, it's a mindset shift that's required for you. Part of the upgrading that you're presented the opportunity to do so. On the third query, Mr. A asked, he shared that the inheritance from his father has helped him to shift in life by doing his master's program. Likewise, he wanted to build something for his children to inherit in future. What should he do? The whole situation you're in, it is like a good karmic trade-off, like we paying it forward. The goodness that you have received from your ancestral line, you're hoping to pass it down to your descendants. They suggest you can look into prudent savings plan of deposits for your kids, even considering if you need to take up any insurance plan with very stable, long-term insurers for their sake that will give you the peace of mind. While stocks and investments can garner high returns when the time is ripe, it can be rather volatile, which also means we may feel a lot. When it goes down, though we tell ourselves we have studied everything, prepared, and know that for the long term it is fine, but because it is so volatile, our heart also fluctuates with it. And then we worry, like, what if I lose all my investment? What are my kids going to do? How are they going to survive without the money or me as the sole breadwinner? All the fear kicks in. To alleviate that fear and pain, consider if you can go with any established bank, any child savings account, or even deposit for very stable bonds, which will guarantee your base, your investment that you put in, plus earning interest as it comes in. And then to consider, do you need any insurance plan? They say all these things are there to offer you the peace of mind, because life is very impermanent, full of uncertainties. Sometimes we want to relieve the pressure on our mind so that we can perform better at work. So this is one thing you can do. At least you feel that at every moment, in case anything goes wrong with me, my child is okay, my family is okay. I've all these for them. In terms of children, they're saying that education is a way they can really take a leap forward in society. Having good education with established, reputable schools is going to cost a lot, but it's going to give them a leap up in life in terms of so-called reputation or income stream. When you give them that good education or allow them to afford that, whether through loans or direct money, they have that leap up in life, similar to your case. In all, you can settle the savings, insurance if needed, and education. Then they go on from there, wherever they are meant to be. It is beyond your duty to make sure they get a job. It is actually their problem. On the fourth query, Mr. A asked, in terms of health, while he has taken up the advice in the last session, is there anything he needs to do right now? When he returns to his home country, should he go for Ayurveda or homeopathy if he has to choose one? They suggest that in addition to supplements, you can focus on getting healthy organic fruits and vegetables. These are generally more expensive, but they contain less toxins. So it will give you that life force or vitality that you need through consistent intake of organic fruits and vegetables. Because a lot goes on in our nutrition that goes unnoticed, like the things we do on autopilot every day, the meals we eat, the sources they come from. A lot of them in this time and age are from very polluted sources, and they come to us cheaper. For example, for the meat or fish, why is it cheaper? How is it being farmed? What kind of waters are they living in? How much pollution is actually there? For sensitive bodies, all this will take a toll. Your body is a little more vulnerable to all these things. It is more sensitive. It needs more treatment and care. So when we take things that are not good from our diet, it slowly builds up and wreaks havoc in the body. In terms of your foamy urine, they suggest that you try to drink crystallized water. For example, one brand that I use is Vita Jewel. They sell crystallized water bottles with high-quality borosilicate glass. So what happens is that it will cover the crystals in the glass. And then you pour the water in there, wait for 7 minutes before drinking. It is based on the natural qualities of spring water or lake, which if you look under the microscope, it has snowflake formations. The current water that we are drinking, we also need a proper water filter at home to block out all those toxins from the pipe. They also remind that the body is made up of 70% to 80% water. Can you imagine when you drink good quality water, feeding yourself with healthy organic food? How is that going to build your body in the long term? It will be very beneficial. Also, foamy urine sometimes points to kidney deficiencies, which aligns to what you're experiencing, the low vitality at times, which is also linked to that chronic stress at work. So it is all tied up together. But don't blame yourself for not trying or feeling that you're not putting in enough effort because it comes back. These kinds of issues, they're very long drawn. As much as it took many years for us to land in this situation, it will also take us an equal amount of time to get out of this situation. And so, practice patience. Focus on the healthy organic fruits and vegetables where you can. Have a water filter and drink crystallized water. So that will improve these things that go on autopilot every day, which give your body the energy to function. On homeopathy or ayurvedic treatment, in this case, just go with your heart desires. There's no right or wrong. They don't have a firm view whether one is better than the other. Each has its own benefits. It depends on which guidance you feel you really need right now. After you attend one, if needed, you can always go for another one later. It is just that because we are bound by limited time, we feel that we must make a choice now and then, and it must be one at the sacrifice or expense of the other. That's not necessarily the case. All these are long-term, slow treatments, and so we don't get quick results, and we can just focus on one treatment first. After we have made some headway, to move on to the other treatments. On the fifth query, Mr. A asked, is it fine for him to openly share all his past Akashic Records recordings with friends whom he meets and trusts, which he has been doing? For your initiatives, you're opening their eyes to the Akashic Records realm. Whether they have the karmic affinity to eventually explore Akashic Records on their own is up to them. But out of your good heart, you are planting seeds in their consciousness that there's something called the Akashic Records. Even though we may label our gods and goddesses as Akashic masters, it doesn't mean some devil or sect. It is nothing superstitious. For humans, we have long lost the connection that we are entitled to with the divine. So they reminded me last time in your priest origins, you had a very close connection with the divine. That's why when you get this opportunity again in this lifetime, that trust is enhanced because it has already existed in the past. But for a lot of people, because of the moments of separation in their lifetime, where they felt deep distress, fear, and abandonment and trauma, that connection separated and never established itself back. So they went through a lot of lifetimes where they're just listening to what other people are sharing from the religion that they grew up in, whether right or wrong. Sometimes it can be a case where 60% is the truth, but 40% may not be so correct. In general, the Akashic Masters try not to intervene because for them, they see it as a continuous journey from one lifetime to the other by this precious child, moving on and learning. One day with the right time, right opportunity, and karmic affinity, they will make their presence known. But for now, whatever you're doing, there's nothing wrong. You're just sowing seeds in their consciousness. They applaud your efforts for consistently taking up the advice. A lot of us have a lot of doubt and confusion. It is human nature. Because of your priest origins, You have very deep trust, connection, and affinity with the divine. So all these things come to you naturally. And sometimes you may wonder, like, why aren't others picking it up? Because of the moment of separation they had in past lives that create so much fear and trauma in their system. So it takes a long time to unlock it. Just sowing seeds now, and then they can take it from there. Maybe now they're not ready, but they may be ready in 2 years or even 10 years' time. On the sixth query, Mr. A asked, on his meditation practice, he shared that he cannot sit at one place for long and has an oscillating mind that has difficulty focusing. What should he do about this? They say that you lead a very busy, active lifestyle, which results in a busy mind. So what happens externally also gets transported internally. In this fast-paced society that we live in, a lot of us have very busy minds. So it's very hard for us to focus on meditation. There are 2 suggestions for you to consider. The first suggestion is if you find it very hard to sit down, you can consider doing a walking meditation in the evening or after work. You find somewhere which allows you to walk around, tune into any guided meditations that you have access to, or even our past healing sessions. It is as if you are seated, but you're walking. And when you walk, your focus is on your feet sensations and the voice. So it is as if you had that meditation, but it is a walking style. When work comes into your mind, you can remind that this can step out for now, as this is your meditation time and they can wait. Of course, all these things will come in from time to time as they flooded your mind for the entire day. Just invite them to wait at the sidelines, and we can always collect them back later. And then just enjoy your walk. So you get to do your exercise and listen to the meditation. The second suggestion, if you're doing seated meditation, at the start, you can invite in your Akashic masters and guides. Then you call upon them to activate your central pillar of light. You will feel the light from the central sun, that gold light coming down, covering your entire being, going down to Mother Earth. And then from Mother Earth, it will come up again, and then wrap yourself in a ball. Even though it is a simple visualization process, it becomes a protective barrier for you. And it will help you focus better, almost 40% to 50% better than usual, if we were to just rush in, sit down, and meditate. Next, we move on for the healing segment. Mr. A was open to any healing suggested by the Akashic Masters. So we focus on sending healing for first, kidneys, detoxification and lymphatic system, and second, inner children, specifically healing the feelings of unworthiness and inferiority. We called upon Mr. A's team of Akashic Masters and Guides, activated his central pillar of light, and ran the Akashic light clearings and activations, which are energetic commands that assist the body to heal and shift, be it on the physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual levels, as aligned to the individual's highest good. We ran these clearings and activations for lymphatic system, sending healing to the system, purging heavy metals, sending healing to the kidneys, endocrine system, to his inner children, and to release the fears that are lodged within his system, as well as to boost his self-esteem and confidence. We cut away all unnecessary cords in his throat, solar plexus, navel, and sacral chakras, front and back. We called upon the violet flame to transmute all these fears in his energy bodies 3 times. We continue to run the clearings and activations for I am worthy, I am empowered, and I receive, to take back his powers and to receive all things good for him. We also caught back his personal power, energy, and soul parts to assist him to feel more whole and complete. Lastly, we invited his Akashic masters and guides to shower him with blessings, to smoothen and pave his way, to unfold with most ease and grace, allowing him to feel supported at all times and connected to the divine, allowing the divinity within him to activate and blossom at its most divine timing, allowing him to feel as one with the divine in time to come. Here's Mr. A's testimonial and experience for this session. Thanks to the session with Asha and the Akashic Masters, I gained a profound understanding of my long-standing emotional and mental struggles with an inferiority complex. This newfound understanding empowered me to take the necessary steps to address and resolve these lingering issues. Following the guidance of the Akashic Masters regarding abundance, I have taken proactive initiatives and embarked on a path of personal growth by enrolling in technical trading classes. I'm feeling now more confident with respect to my investments. As a father of 2 young children, I often felt uneasy about not having tangible assets for their future. However, the guidance of the Akashic Masters enlightened me and removed the blindfold from my eyes regarding this matter. They made me realize that providing a good education for my children is the most significant asset I can offer them. The shift in perspective helped me to understand that education should be the primary focus and priority for my kids, while physical assets can be considered secondary. And we thank Mr. A for generously sharing your case study and testimonial with us. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast. If you would like to read about my dialogues and reflections with the Akashic Masters, you can visit my free blog at Asha-AkashicRecords.com. Till next time, take care.